I stumbled blindly through the dark as I ran, my senses betraying me. It was pitch black. I couldn't see anything. My hands took the lead, grasping vines, boxes, and bricks, but still I couldn't guide myself properly. I tripped over something, falling flat on my face. I lay there, helpless. I got up, determined to find some light. Yes, finally some light, I cried. I ran toward the end of the alley. Once I got there, I slouched against the wall with my head in my hands. The start of my day had been so normal. How did waking up late, getting the tiniest fraction of chocolate cereal, and arriving to school with a second to spare, my normal Friday morning, end up as this? I thought back through my day to see if I could remember how I got here 12 hours earlier. I was reading what I'd written so far when suddenly my name, Arabella Joe Cook, but everyone calls me AJ, lit up on the page. I was confused. What just happened? I wondered. I don't remember buying a notebook that could light up. I flicked through the pages, trying to see any tiny clues relating to how my book was lighting up. I ran my hands over the pages. They were glowing too. I looked up to see if anyone else had noticed my glowing notebook. It didn't look like anyone had. I shrugged and looked back down at my blindingly bright book. I blinked. I blinked again, and a third time, just to make sure what I was seeing wasn't a hallucination. My illustrations were hopping out of the page. I sat there still and quiet as a statue, while one of the tiny little pixies, that Trick Sophie, that's the character's name, leaps off the page and starts pulling my hair. And hard. Ouch! I squeak, accidentally kicking the chair in front of me. The boy sitting there turns around and starts yelling at me. Oh my god, I am so sorry, I said with wide eyes and the best sorry expression I could muster. You should be. This took me 2 weeks, he growled. I winced as the pixie continued to pull away at my hair. Could you help me get this pixie out of my hair? If you do, I'll owe you big time. I'll even give you like a whole packet of chocolates or lollies or anything really, I said distractedly as I tried to yank the pixie away without hurting it. What pixie exactly are we talking about? He asked sarcastically. The one in my hair? I pointed at it. Yeah, I think you need some help because there's nothing there, he said confused. He wasn't the only one confused. We argued back and forth about whether the pixie was there or not. He more enthusiastic than I, as I was in a lot of pain. Who knew pixies were so strong? Our encounter had lasted the rest of my trip, so I got off. But as soon as I did, the pixie started leading me somewhere. She took me to such an odorous place that I had to cover my face with my scarf to stop myself from vomiting. The pixie started talking. Well, I couldn't hear anything. All I could hear was gobbledygook. I couldn't understand her, so I tried talking to her. I told her I couldn't understand her, and that unless we were similar sizes, I wouldn't be able to. I guess she must have understood me, because she jumped out of my hand and sprinkled some pixie dust on me. I started to shrink, she told me, in a very squeaky voice, that I had to open my book, which for some weird reason hadn't shrunk. Maybe it fell out of my bag, and that she would tell me about the rest after I'd done that. So I opened the book with great difficulty and laid it on the ground in front of me. It was still glowing. I turned around to ask the pixie what to do next and found myself face to face with tiny hands that then pushed me onto the book. Or rather, into the book. I waited for the sound of a tiny body touching paper and the splitting headache that would follow. But it never came. I flipped in the air to see where I was going and what was happening. Actually, I don't know what I expected, but it definitely wasn't this. All I could see was black. Then I dropped. All my breath was pushed out of me in one big whoosh. I lay there, forcing myself to get up as I breathed in big, ragged breaths. I felt as though there were a million tiny shards of glass in my ribcage. But luckily for me, they were slowly disappearing and I could breathe once more. When I could finally breathe again, I got up and started running to try and find some light. When it was finally bright enough that I could see, I sat down and started thinking about what had happened, and that's how I got here. I cried. I cried for ages. I would never see my family again. Well, it's gonna be a long journey home, so if I don't want to see what sort of scary things lurk here at night, I'd better get going, I whispered to myself, looking around at the tree. I didn't notice it before, but the trees reminded me of somewhere. Lots of pink and purple and orange colours. In all honesty, it was a really pretty place. The trees were all rainbow coloured and there was glitter in the trees. I liked it actually. Really liked it. After 3 hours of blind walking, I stumbled across the pixie again. I told her that after 4 hours of walking in circles in a strange new world, I was ready to go home. She opened up a portal. It was exactly as I had imagined in my book. It had all these purples, pinks, oranges, blues, greys, yellows, basically every colour of the rainbow, and it was all wobbly and even a little bit see-through. I looked at the pixie, who was now her normal size. Did I grow while I fell? I asked the pixie. She nodded, as if to say yes. I took a deep breath, hoping beyond my limits that this portal would take me to my family. I slowly took in my surroundings. Will I ever be able to come back to this place? I asked the pixie, who was gone. I thought. Never mind. This moment is for me and going back. All the secrets of this place will have to remain just that. Secrets. Earth, here I come. And so I did the only thing I could do. I took a big step through the portal into what would hopefully be my loving family, waiting for me with wide open arms.